What's good, everyone? I'm Brian Sampson from Timberwolves Film Room, coming at you on a glum night. As life ticks on, let's take a look at the switches the Timberwolves made to their pick and roll defense in this matchup against the Houston Rockets. In my previous video about the Timberwolves pick and roll defense, I highlighted how they were ineffectively switching screens against the Rockets, and James Harden and co were absolutely making them pay. Well, the Timberwolves had a new strategy this time around. Minnesota used a combination of hard hedges and soft hedges to contest the Rockets' main action, and it worked a lot better. Let's begin by defining a hard hedge. A hard hedge is when the man defending the screener steps out on the ball screen, forces the ball handler to go away from the basket with his dribble, and then quickly recovers to his man. Meanwhile, the on-ball defender is fighting through the screen to recover. A weakness of the hard hedge is in the middle of the floor, which we'll get to later on. The soft hedge is when the screen defender drops a bit off the screen and doesn't come so far out. The on-ball defender then fights over the screen, and the object is to force a long, contested pull-up two. Getting back to the hard hedge, Minnesota mainly used this coverage when Ryan Anderson was setting the ball screens. As I mentioned, the weakness of the hard hedge is the middle of the lane. Thus, by using it on Anderson's screens, Minnesota is protected because he never rolls and always pops to the three-point line. The big man has a tough task as he's forced to step out and disrupt the ball handler for a moment, and then return as quickly as possible to his man on the perimeter, and it worked because Anderson was only 2 for 6 from downtown tonight. Communication is still incredibly important, as you can see on this Joe Johnson screen. It can result in wide open shots if not done properly. Because of the outside threats Johnson and PJ Tucker are, the Timberwolves also ran this hard hedge on their screens occasionally. However, the soft hedge was by far the most common defense the Timberwolves used tonight because of Nene and Capella are the most likely screeners. The soft hedge was mostly used on these two big men, and its main purpose was to prevent the lob pass over the top. The Rockets still got 1 or 2 alleys, but for the most part is very effective. Here's a great example of Towns preventing the lob by successfully performing the soft hedge coverage. As soon as the ball screen is made, Towns drops back toward the free throw line, daring Harden to take a long contested two. Butler then fights over the screen but isn't able to get back into the play, so it puts Towns in a 2-on-1 situation. Fortunately, he does a great job of maintaining his position and forcing a wild shot. Here's another good example of the Timberwolves executing their pick and roll coverage. This time it's their ice coverage and they're running in the soft hedge format, and it forces another miss. Of course, as the game wore on, the Rockets adjusted to the Timberwolves gameplay and made some changes of their own, like this Spain pick and roll. Watch how Chris Paul comes from the corner to set a back screen on the helping Towns in an attempt to free up Capella on the roll. Although Teague doesn't read it properly and he ends up fouling Harden, Gibson does a great job of helping down from the corner. There was one specific time I noticed the Timberwolves switched, and it was a disaster. Even though it was between two wings in Crawford and Wiggins, it gave Harden the weaker defender, and he ended up blowing right past Crawford. Overall, the Timberwolves were a lot more effective and disruptive running the hard and soft hedges than when they were just running their switching defense against the Rockets in the last game. I know it may be hard to see right now, but this was definitely a step in the right direction. Well, thank you, Wolves fans. I appreciate you tuning into this video and would love it even more if you'd give it the old thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Timberwolves Film Room can now be found on Instagram and Facebook. Just search Timberwolves Film Room. Of course, for all your Wolves analysis, you should follow me on Twitter @BrianSampsonNBA. Catch you next time, Wolves fans.